to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today we have a lady in the house, and I love when I get to interview women in real estate. Sandy Moll. I was just talking to her before we started the podcast, and man, this is a powerhouse. I'm excited, Sandy. Welcome to the Real Estate Entrepreneurs Podcast.
Well, thank you, Ricardo. I'm excited to be here.
My pleasure. Sandy, tell me a little bit about yourself first. Like, who are you?
Well, I am an entrepreneur. Over the last several years, I'm not going to tell you my age, but over my adult years, let's just say that. Even when I had W-2 jobs years and years ago, I always had a business on the side. I'm a big believer in multiple income streams. I'm a wife. I'm a farmer. I'm a mother of 4, grandmother of 7. And I love how dealing in real estate helps you evolve over time and helps you adapt during the seasons of your life without getting completely out of it. I'm a big believer that, that the real estate market is always a good investment. Even when the economy is down, I think there's opportunities in the real estate market, which there isn't always in other businesses.
So tell me about your W-2s. What did you do back in those days? Well,
I kind of fell into the financial service industry. So banking and Sallie Mae, but always in the financial service industry on the banking side. Before I retired, I actually ran and was president and CEO of a regional financial institution. And then it was kind of the point of, I don't need to do that. My kids were getting to the age where I wanted a little bit more flexibility. We had been investing in real estate and got to the point of, I want more freedom in my time.
So you got into real estate when you were a W-2?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. My husband and I have been in real estate. We actually got into real estate when we were a W-2. But what's interesting is, you always hear about other people's money, using other people's money to get in. And we've used other people's money when we were in the W-2 world and learned a lot about the private lending side of it. I'm trying to remember, Ricardo, and it has nothing to do with my age and my memory. It's just a lot going on up there. I'm thinking when we owned 3 or 4 apartment complexes, several residential. I don't remember. At one point we had about 450 to 500 doors on the residential side and a couple of commercial buildings. And I was still a W-2 at the time.
I love it. I love people that are W-2s, and for many years I was a W-2 guy too, and I was in the oil and gas business, and I was like very much like you. Like I always had something going on with my job. Even when I was in the military. I would get out of the ship, go to I was stationed down in Ingleside, Texas, which is by Corpus, and I would go to San Antonio, buy stuff, and bring it back to the ship to sell it.
Yeah,
I just needed an extra income or something, right? And so all my life I have been like that. And when I was in a W-2 job, I had a very good job, multiple 6 figures. I was working offshore, oil rigs and all of that, and I wonder, my friends will spend all this money on toys, trucks and guns and all of these things that we love in Texas, right?
Yeah.
But that wasn't me. I was like, what do I do with my money? And then I was like, I gotta make that money grow. But I read in some book, I don't know. I don't know if it was Robert Kiyosaki's book or Think and Grow Rich, or one of them, The Richest Man in Babylon, that I need to put that money to work and make some more money. And that's how I got into real estate. So what attracted you and your husband to become real estate investors,
Well, I think a lot of what you said, I'm a big reader, and and my husband and I have a very strong faith. And we do believe that we don't own anything, that God has blessed us with things that we're supposed to steward. And one of the reasons that you look at the money you're coming in, especially as a W-2, and it's like, how can I steward this? Now, I live in the Midwest too, just like you. So yes, guns and toys are a big thing in the Midwest. So we live on a farm, so there's a lot of toys on the farm. But we always said, all right, we need to set a certain amount of that money that God has given us and steward it well and multiply it.
Right.
All the talents. I also, because we own 5 companies at one point, we own 7. I'm also a certified financial coach. I'm a certified, I do a lot of financial coaching with some individuals, or I used to. I'm slowing down a little bit on that too as I get older. But it's really looking at how can you steward the money and how can you multiply it? How can you make more that you can serve other people for? And with Dave and I, it was real important. There's a lot of ways to make money. I mean, there's a lot of ways to make money. I always raised my kids and said, you could even put out there, hey, I want to make $100 this week. What can I do for you to make $100? And that's cleaning gutters or mowing the lawn. But there's a lot of ways to make money. But what we liked about real estate, it was you could get passive income, you could grow the equity, and you could really help people. And the service part was a big deal to us. We don't own any property and have never owned any property that we wouldn't live in ourselves. And we have a pretty nice house that we live in. So our standard is above a C property for sure. And we just closed on a property we bought from a family that she passed away. And the reason they called us, they said, we don't want to list it. We want you guys to buy it. Part of the reason is we don't want to clean it out. She left all of her stuff there. But we also know you guys will do it right, and you'll get a good family in this home for her. And we made them a crazy low offer, and they said, perfect. And we were able to close the next day, actually. That was the quickest closing we've ever done. And I think getting into real estate served multiple facets. It was stewarding money in a good way, being able to make more money that we can either reinvest part of it and steward other people with it. And then also really helping people understand. We have a not-for-profit, and for a while we owned a motel, and then we also owned an apartment complex, and we reserved half of that to put people that went through our not-for-profit that were homeless. And they had to understand, they had to take classes that we provided on financial, how to take care of your money, how to grow your money, health classes, all the how to live in a better way to serve the people around you and live a little bit more than just for yourself. So real estate for us is really, it's about stewarding what God's given us and helping other people. It's pretty simple.
Man, I love it. Do you guys do any coaching?
We do coaching. Matter of fact, it's ironic. Several years ago, we did quite a bit, and we kept having young couples call and say, hey, will you mentor us through this? And we always meet with them. At our age, to be bluntly honest, right now, a lot of the coaching we do, we don't even charge for, because it's more work to charge for it than it is to just help the people. We do have one couple that we're doing some deals together with, just to help them get going. All 4 of our children, 3 of the 4 of our children are involved in some facet of one of our businesses. One of our oldest daughter works in our consulting company, pretty much full time. And then our other daughter works in 2 of our companies. And our youngest son actually has watched us mentor others and goes, okay, I want you to mentor me like a client. So we're not charging him, although we probably should.
Now, they're not in real estate, they're in your other businesses, correct?
Our coaching, we do have couples that we're coaching on real estate investing.
No, but your kids, your
one of them, our youngest son, it helps out in the real estate. He has a W-2 job.
Okay.
But he does, several years ago, we had a lot of property management companies, and we struggled because I'm a big believer. I look at every number. I understand the numbers. I want to make sure I understand what the numbers should be. I understand where numbers, and several of our property management companies, I question, and they go, well, nobody ever asks us this on the numbers. And I'm like, well, they should. They own the property. They should. So we actually took back and put together a pretty streamlined property management company that we do it ourselves. And so our youngest son works in the property management side of our real estate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, man, you guys got your hands full.
It's ironic because I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago and they said, Sandy, I heard something about you that you really only work 20 to 30 hours a week. And I said, that is true. I don't work on Fridays or Mondays. And I usually work 10 to 3, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Sometimes I'll go outside of that, but I believe in putting systems in place. And as long as you have good systems, things can run on their own.
What about delegation?
I delegate, but I delegate within a system.
Of course. Yeah. The system comes first.
Yep. System comes first. And most of our companies, like our financial service consulting company, we've been in business about 20 years and we operate in 29 states and we don't do any marketing, have never done any marketing in that company. And we get 5 to 10 referrals a week from our existing bank or credit union clients for more work or other bankers they know. And it just kind of even some of our clients know our systems well enough to know that we have certain documents we have to get in place, but it kind of auto goes. On the real estate side, we have some pretty easy systems. Something as simple as all of our tenants either electronically make their payment, the rent to us, or they actually deposit it into our bank. And on the deposit slip, they write their name and number. And I had one guy say, okay, wait a minute, you don't have them mail it and you don't, I'm like, no, I don't touch any of the rent. It's automatically goes into the bank. I don't need to. Then every day we just look at what's deposited and it auto posts and it goes on down the road. So
we do the same. Now, have you had a problem where they don't pay rent and then
we have been in the 30 some years, almost 40 years we've had real estate. We've had one eviction.
Wow.
And yeah. Now I take that back. In one of our apartment complexes, we cleaned it out when we bought it. So we had, I don't know how many evictions, several, but we believe you find the right tenants.
But that was different because you were stabilizing the unit.
Yeah.
So
yeah. We do a really good job at putting the right tenants in. And we never have anybody that's 30 days past due.
What about location? Do you think location has a lot to do with it? The type of client that you're attracting?
Yes, I think location, and I think how we keep our properties. We know a guy that's in a couple of the same markets that we're in, and he's like, I'm always having to evict these people. And I finally looked at him and I said, honey, it's because you keep your properties like crap. We drive by your properties and you've got the gutters hanging off of them. You've got roofs that need repaired. You're going to attract a different type of tenants. We keep our properties at a level that we would live in. So we attract a higher level of tenant and we can charge more and we don't have trouble with our tenants.
Yeah, you do a better job on underwriting and keeping the properties clean and at a good standard, right? So
now, we have friends that their specialty in C properties. And C properties and D properties, they're going to have more turnover.
Of course.
That's okay. That's not where we've ever wanted to be. And
that's how I got started. I got started with these.
Yep. And I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh my God, that was a rude awakening.
We've gotten to the point now in the county that we live in, that we own some, that the cities actually will call us and say, hey, there's a property. We know the landlord, he's probably going to sell it. It needs cleaned up. Will you guys just talk to him? And so we'll go in and buy a D property and completely rehab it, move it to a B or an A property and put new tenants in. Probably for about 10 years, the actual cities that we invested in were probably where we found our best properties.
Of course, because you're helping them raise their tax value.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah. I don't like to pay the taxes though, but
they want you around. They don't
yeah,
want you to go to another county either, right?
yeah, that's right. That's right.
So let's talk about that. So what is the average investment? I like this conversation because I mean, you got so much experience. We could be talking for hours on multiple things here, but what is the average investment that it takes to move one of those C properties to, let's say, a D to a B?
Well, one, it depends. It depends a lot on the location, as you mentioned.
Right.
We bought a property a few years back. It was in a location that getting it to a B was probably going to be
Very
a stretch.
tough.
We were not going to put the money into it to get it to an A, but we needed to make it a safe place. But we knew we were never going to get A tenants to live there because of the location. So I think we bought it, and this is a different market. I mean, it all depends on your market, but I think we bought it for $40,000, and we put $100,000 in it.
Wow.
Now I tell you, we sold it about we only owned that one for about 7 years, and we sold it for 300 and some thousand. But part of the issue was when we bought it in the location it was in, we knew some of the owners around it. The owners that actually owned the property, they were owner occupied. We actually went to them and said, hey, we'll help you clean up your house. We'll help you get it painted. We'll help you do these things. We helped some of those owner occupied properties get to a higher level, which then helped ours get to a higher level. And then when we started doing that, some of the other landlords that owned properties in there went, oh, we probably should do something, because they were starting to lose tenants. And so when we started really putting the money into ours and then going to the owner occupied and saying, let us help you. We've got extra paint here that's white and your house is white. We'll bring a crew in and we'll paint it for you. We'll scrape it for you. Let us do some landscaping. When we started doing that, not only did we get a reputation that, hey, they're going to help the community, which helps bring more things to us, but it did raise the value of our house too. And it helped us get better tenants in.
Let's go back a little bit. Did you guys ever have mentorship for doing real estate?
We went to a course or two because we felt like we needed to.
Right. But
the reality is we didn't learn anything in those courses we didn't already know.
Do you remember who those courses were given by, or?
Yeah, I'd rather not say.
Okay, perfect.
They still actually offer those courses, and
really?
I actually think for a lot of people those courses are perfect.
Right.
But there's some that cost 6 figures to go through a year-long mentorship and everything, and I think we were a little different because I grew up in the financial service industry.
Right.
I understand numbers, and real estate is really just a numbers game. And my husband has always understood how the real estate. So you take my husband being able to fix things, which he can do. He can fix anything. The joke is he married me to fix me. But he can fix anything, and he's very good at, looking at a property and saying, this is what we need to do to it. Well, then he can put together a bid. I can crunch the numbers and make sure it's valid for cash flow or whatever we're going to do it. We actually built our own analysis tool where we analyze the properties if it's going to be a flip, and we know we want to make X amount off of it. And we don't make, if it's going to be a flip, we want to flip it in less than 6 months and make a minimum of 50,000. And we've got those goals set. Now, when we were younger, we would flip a lot more, and our numbers we would drop our number a little bit. If we want to rent, we know what we need for reserve and what we need for taxes and insurance. So I put together just an Excel spreadsheet that we plug all the numbers in. It feeds off of this. We know the holding costs. It tells us if it's a good deal or not. It's not rocket science, but I think if you've never worked in finance, if you've never looked at numbers, if you've never really done real estate and you're just getting started, you need some type of training, whether it's listening, and it could be just listening to your podcast. And as you're listening to your podcast, making a whole bunch of questions and then researching it. The reality is, and I hope this is okay to say, Ricardo, but there's a lot of tools online that are free. I mean,
Yeah.
I use AI online for questions all the time. And we had a friend and he says, well, I'm gonna create an app where it'll say, hey, I'm gonna rehab this house in this market. What are the building codes for stair treads? And I looked at him, I said, okay, I can find that information right now. I can put that information in ChatGTP and find it. Anybody can get information anymore. You have to validate it to make sure it's right.
Of course.
But but I think a mentorship or a course is great for people that have never done it. We've even told our son that, he's working with us and we can mentor him. But if there's a decent day or two class or even a week, he may want to attend.
Especially when things change, right? Because
yes.
a lot of like the software, right? Like now we got AI, we got a lot of things that are new and that we could be using.
Yep.
But if we're not aware of them, those guys usually at the seminars and the courses and the real estate events, they are showcasing those. And that's why one of the main reasons I still go to seminars. And now I don't go to a seminar on how to learn how to flip or anything like that, because that's to me it's 5. The mechanicals first and then all the cosmetics. That's it. So
but I do think I 100% agree. But I think if you've never, my husband built our house and he built my son's house. My son has an all concrete house. He built it. We have a concrete and steel house and he built it.
You guys got a lot of tornadoes there?
We don't in our area. Kansas has a lot where I'm at, but the area that we live in, we have a lot of water and hills around us, and they say that breaks up tornadoes.
I wonder because of the concrete, it's abnormal to hear somebody in the U.S. says, I got a concrete home. Oh, wait a minute, why?
Well, because my son wanted to build, he bought 16 acres and wanted to build a house and wanted to do it himself, but he was working a W-2 job, and my husband is busy. And so they use the ICF blocks because it's just like you put the blocks together and you pour concrete down the middle. It's easy to self-do. You don't have to hire a crew. It's just an easy thing to do. So, matter of fact, most of the houses my husband rehabs now, if he has to do a new basement, they're all ICF blocks.
Wow.
And he just finished one where he moved it from the basement, set the house in the backyard, ripped out the basement, put a new basement in with the ICF blocks just because it's quick and easy.
Right.
And it's insulated. Moved the house back on the foundation. And it's just, it makes things go a little bit quicker for him.
What's the price per square foot on building one of those?
Well, it depends on how fancy you're going to get.
Right.
I'd say you're between 150 and 250 a square foot.
Okay, so it's not much different than building the traditional route.
Yeah, the interesting thing is my son's house, he has a full walkout ranch. So basically 2 levels, his basement walls are 18 or 22 or 24 inches thick. They're thick. And then his upstairs are 18 inches thick. The total electric, his highest electric bill has been $56.
So I grew up in Venezuela, and in Venezuela, all the houses are made with center blocks.
Yes. Yeah.
They never collapse. We don't have foundation problems. We don't have roof problems. We don't it's crazy how long these properties last.
Yes.
And then I come back to the US and I'm like, why do we have to build them on sticks? So you're the first person that I meet actually that tells me I got a ICF block house, and I'm like, wow, wait a minute, what is this, right? So that house will last for hundreds of years.
Yeah, it will. My son's house is like solid. Now our house, Dave built our house about 26 years ago, and our basement was ICF, but that was when ICF was just kind of coming into its own. The rest, and our house is a full walkout basement and then 2 stories above that. So it's the basement, main floor, and
3
second
stories,
floor.
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. And ICF wasn't as far along now to do that type. So our house, he did the ICF basement. And then because we were building ourselves and we knew it was going to take us a little bit longer because it's not a full-time job, the rest of our house was steel. So all of our walls are steel. Our roof looks like shingles, but it's steel. It worked because the steel could weather a little bit better than the lumber.
I'm curious about something that just came up. I was doing another podcast yesterday, and we were talking about legal structures, okay, for holding real estate. And by the way, guys, we're not giving any legal advice here. You need to go consult with your attorney.
Yep.
But I want to ask you, Sandy, what's your preferred method of holding legal, like your rentals, for instance? What do you guys use?
All of our rentals are in an LLC.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in a partnership LLC.
Right.
And our commercial properties are in a separate, they're separate. And they're actually owned by our trust company, by our revocable trust.
Right.
We personally, we don't own anything personal ourselves anymore. Everything.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's either owned by our trust, an LLC. All of our ownership in any of our companies is owned by an LLC. So like the consulting company, it's owned by an LLC completely.
Now, for instance, like my personal preference is a land trust.
Yeah. Now,
why not use a land trust and use an LLC instead?
I'm not going to even, that's a legal question.
Right.
For us personally and our long-term goals and where we were at and how we were moving things, a land trust wasn't a better option for us.
Okay.
And where we own property, it wasn't as good an option as just an LLC. But I think that's something everybody should really investigate, especially where they're going to own them at.
Yeah. I would say one of the main reasons I do a land trust is because LLCs got more upkeep. So every year you have to do the Secretary of State, you got to pay the fees, you got to do this, you got to put them here and there. Whereas, and by the way, I don't like having multiple properties on one LLC.
No, should be individual.
It should be individual or a serious LLC, for instance, right? Where you got each one LLC per property. Yeah. So imagine you have, I don't know how many you got, and we don't have to say that, but let's say we got 20 properties, right? And now each property has an LLC. That's multiple filings that you have to do with the Secretary of State, and it kind of creates, it's a pain in the neck because you gotta go and do all these different EINs and do all these different with the CPA, you gotta give them all the right information. Whereas if I have them on land trust and I only have one LLC being the beneficiary or the trustee of the land trust, now I only have one to file as opposed to 20 or 30 or 40, and a land trust still gives me the same kind of like the same. Actually, I think it's, in a way, in my opinion, this is just an opinion, the land trust is almost like having a ghost own your property.
Well, it's my understanding, at least in the states that we own property in, yes, it protects you from being able to people to see who owns the property. However, at least the states we're in, if you own something through a land trust, the beneficiaries can still be sued personally. The LLC, from our perspective,
of course.
Yeah. But an LLC, there's that level of protection from a suit. And that's kind of why our legal counsel and our CPA both said, we want you at your age and your position to keep things, just move them to the LLC and keep them. I think land trusts I think it's really something everybody has to sit down and look at individually. Yeah. We own quite a few assets in other that look differently than property.
Right.
And so we want to make sure we have as much protection from suit as we can. LLCs for us provided a better level than a land trust.
No, you always got to have an LLC.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a question. Like no, the LLC needs to be there. It's just that I guess the land trust gives you another layer of mobility as well, right? Because you can assign a land trust in seconds.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like go to a title company or an attorney. You just need a notary, and that's it. My land trust is yours now, Sandy, and done, right? So, anyhow, this is a great conversation regarding legal entities, because people always ask me, "Hey, should I get an LLC? Should I get a?" I was like, "You are right. Hey, go look up to see what's best for you, because Texas might be different than Kansas or Florida or Georgia. Like, consult with your legal attorney and see what's the best for you."
Yeah.
What do you enjoy the most about real estate? Like, is it being a landlord? Is it being a fix and flipper? Have you guys ever wholesaled anything?
Yeah, we've done some wholesaling when it kind of fell in our lap. We've done several, but I think for me, it's the rentals, but also the fix and flip. Like, we've had some young families. Matter of fact, the house my husband's working on today, he's had a young family stop by and go through it, and they were looking for a house, and he's talked to them, and we know that another house is going to be coming on the market that we could kind of customize for them and keep the cost low. I think the best thing about whatever we do in real estate is being able to help people get into something that they have pride in, and get in something that is a home. I think that whether it's a rental or a sale, it's being able to provide quality homes for people.
I think that's the main core of why you're doing so well, is because you're coming from a place of service.
Yeah. I think no matter what you do in life, if you realize you're here to serve, it just makes life more fun.
Well, unfortunately, I see a lot of people in real estate, they lose that sight. They lose the sight of helping, and they go for, I gotta get more money, or I gotta become a multi-gazillionaire or whatever, right? And they start pushing that P&L like there's no tomorrow, which you should, because you gotta be vigilant of your money, like you said. How do I steward this money that God gave me, right? And to grow and protect and help, and serve and help.
I think the one thing, and I didn't mean to interrupt, the one thing that Dave and I know for a fact has made us extremely successful in every business that we've ever owned, whether it's a business we continue to own now or one we've sold, is we know God has a plan for us. And if we get up every morning and say, God, what do you want me to do? How can I serve you? He takes care of everything else. And I feel for the people, and I pray for the people that don't have that faith that there's something bigger out there that is magnificent, and wants you to be successful, and wants you to have millions of dollars, and wants you to be able to do all these things, because they're always chasing something else. And we mentor a young couple right now that at first their entire conversation was about, well, we have to make more money. We have to make more money. And we kind of, after a few months, kind of took them back, and now they're like, the money will come. And I'm like, yeah, the money will come if you do the right thing. It's doing the right thing. God makes sure the money's there because he sees you do the right thing. And he's like, Sandy and Dave are doing the right thing, so I'm going to give them more, because then they can do the right thing with more, and they can help more people. I feel like I'm preaching. I'm sorry, Ricardo. I hope
you're right. I love it. I think more people should be able to see you and your principles, because we are lacking that today in our country. And I mean, God was removed from schools long time ago, and I think that's one of the major issues we have today with kids, firing guns in school and things like that, right? So,
Yeah.
I'm,
We
I'm,
were
like I told you earlier, there's no limits. Like, you could talk about whatever you want.
Well, we were in Minneapolis, St. Paul for Labor Day weekend because our youngest daughter spends half of her time there and half of her time in Copenhagen. And now she's in California yesterday for a while. But, they just had that shooting at the Catholic school a couple weeks ago. And it's just sad that people feel like they have to strike out, because I think if we all just go back to, we are loved, and living in love and doing what is a reflection of love, the money comes. And it's the old adage that when you die, you're not going to take your millions of dollars with you. And so if you
that's
can just
proven, Sandy, that's proven. All those gaskets that they found from people that died 2,000 years ago with their gold things in there, the gold is still there, but they're gone.
Yeah, it's always like, we jokingly say with our kids, we are worth a lot more dead than alive, but our kids aren't really going to get anything, because it goes to people philanthropic things. And it's like, if you realize that God put you here to make the world a better place, he will take care of the money. Let's
talk about tithing for a second.
Oh, I love to tithe. My husband will tell you I would give away everything if I could.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I had this idea, but anyhow, like, what's your take on tithing? Like, give me a quick rundown on why we should tithe, and maybe what is the one way you enjoy the most tithing?
Well, I believe tithing monetarily, but also service.
Yes.
My husband and I both, we've found a couple of not-for-profits and a couple of service entities that we volunteer at. We're getting ready the first week of October to go on a mission trip to New Mexico and rebuild some houses that are dilapidated. Real estate is a great area to go out and serve people, even if it's like I mentioned earlier before, that if you own a property and the houses around you need help, it's okay to go say, hey, I noticed your house needs painting. Can we help you? Now, I will tell you, some people slam the door in your face and be offended. So you have to be really careful, and you have to do it out of a sense of love that, we're just here to help if there's anything you need. Tithing monetarily, I've had a goal for many years to give away over $1 million a year. And sometimes that's in non-tax deductible ways. We just bought there's an immigrant that does some work for us on the side, and he is legal. But there was a couple days he struggled getting to work because it rained and his truck didn't run when it rained. And so we sat him down, he and his wife and his kids, and we bought them a new truck. And he started crying. He goes, nobody has ever done this for us. And I'm like, just pay it forward. We don't mean you have to buy new trucks for people, but just live in love and serve others. Now, our CPA goes, you realize you can't write that off. That's okay. He needed the help. He was a good person. He treated people good. He worked his butt off for his family. He was trying to get his truck fixed, but we looked at it and it was going to cost more to fix it than a truck. Now, we didn't buy him we didn't buy him a brand new truck. It is used. But right. We told him, now sell your old truck to pay the taxes and insurance on this one, and let's talk through the finance part of it. I think it's important to tithe, but I also think it's very important to pay attention where you're tithing.
Yes.
There's a couple of websites that you can actually research not-for-profits and make sure they're not one of those that 80% goes to the administration of the not-for-profit and only 20 or 30% goes to truly doing what their mission is. I'm not saying you shouldn't donate to those. I'm just saying be aware of where your money's going and what it's going for. and research it. My husband and I sit down every month and look at the numbers of where our numbers are at, where we're going, how much we have left to tithe that we want to tithe. We started something many years ago at the end of the year when we know we've wanted to tithe more and we haven't. We look in November and say, okay, we've got an extra X amount to tithe, and we sit down with our 4 kids and say, we're going to split this amount by 5, and each of you is going to get 1/5 that you're going to decide where it's going. We'll write the check, but you decide where it's going. And it got them in the mindset of, I had the conversation, make sure you know where the money that you're allocating is going. Make sure it's going to do what you want. Now, if you want it to go to the administration of the not-for-profit, that's your choice. We don't drive that. But it's gotten them now into the point of they're all tithing more because they've now seen how good it makes them feel. Our youngest son and his wife, one of our grandkids was born, and shortly after they're born was in the ICU at Children's Mercy in Kansas City. And they saved her life. And so we know that every year, at least a portion of what Reed and Courtney are going to donate to is Children's Mercy. And Sloan is now 6, going to be 7. And Sloan and Royson, her older brother, they take the check up to donate to Children's Mercy. Well, a few years ago, they started realizing they wanted to start saving some of their money each year so that they could also donate to Children's Mercy. So it's kind of started their thought process of how can we help more? The biggest thing when people ask, what's your philosophy on tithing? Do it, but know what you're doing it for.
I love it. We also donate to the Children's Hospital here.
Yeah.
My wife does it. She loves supporting. We never had an issue with our children or anything like that, but it's just something that comes from her heart.
Yeah. Have you ever toured St. Jude's?
No.
You should. And I don't want to promote.
And that's where we donate, by the way.
Yeah. So St. Jude's is we donate to St. Jude's too. But I've researched and I check. One thing you have to do is don't just check once. Like somebody said, well, you've donated to St. Jude's for years. I still check every year to see where the money's going. They have
because management changes, laws changes. They start changing things around, and then it's not the same.
Yeah, they have to disclose where their money's going, and I think if you're donating to, there's a not-for-profit in Kansas City called Giving the Basics, and they basically give away basics, toilet paper, shampoo, combs, everything to other not-for-profits. And we volunteer up there. One of our companies, the people that work with our companies, a couple of times a year, we go up and volunteer. And I pay attention every year where that money goes. And it's important that you know if it's going to what you want it to.
I like to donate directly to people, Sandy. So what I've done.
You and I would get along great. I like hiding $50 bills under benches in parks.
So look, I half of my time I spend in Venezuela. I was born here in the U.S., but I was raised in Venezuela. My parents are from Venezuela, and that's where my call center is. I have a call center with virtual assistants. We do a lot of stuff over there. We produce YouTube channels. We do cold calling, lead managers. All my properties we buy and sell from over there. And because of that, I spend a lot of time in Venezuela. I spend probably half of the year. I go back and forth. And usually on the weekends, I go out to the local, restaurants and bars and things. And by the end of the night, I go eat at the local hot dog stands. Well, guess who's at the local hot dog stands? A bunch of kids. They're in between, I would say, 8 years old and maybe 13 years old. Yeah. That's the average age. And they're very poor. Like they haven't showered in days. They're wearing all these clothes and they come asking for money, or they're selling lollipops. Yeah. That's how they feed their families, right?
Yeah.
And I asked them, I asked every single one of them, "Are you hungry?" "Yeah, I'm hungry." "All right, sit down." And the last time I did this, Sandy, I had 25 kids sitting on the table. They were all getting fed. It wasn't probably the most um clean food because
That's okay. That's
it's
all right.
it's fast food, right? But
That's
much
okay.
much better than McDonald's, though. I would say this. And you had to see their faces. And then the owner of the food truck was looking at me like, why are you throwing your money away like that, right? And I'm like,
No.
not throwing my money away, buddy.
No.
You have no idea what I'm doing here, right?
Yeah.
And now these kids recognize me everywhere I go because they're like walking down the street, back and forth, um, and they come to me and said, "Hey, do you think I can eat with you today?" I was like, "Absolutely. I don't care who I'm sitting down with. Come on in and sit down. If it's within my means, I'm gonna feed them, right?" I've also tied to people that I know that they were in need for one reason or another. They didn't have money to pay their power bill or their water bill. Life happens, right?
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of tithing to people that are going through medical situations and that they couldn't cover, their bills at the hospital or whatnot. And it's crazy because I remember this one time I was low on cash flow. Like I didn't have any cash with him. Like I had a lot of money out there, but I had no actual cash on my hands. And I saw this guy that needed like some money for a surgery, and I know this guy. He's contemporary with my father, and so he's not really a friend, but I know him.
Right.
And he was out in South America, and he needed money, right? And I'm looking at his GoFundMe, and I'm like, I wanted to give him money so bad, but I didn't have the cash at the time. And all of a sudden, Sandy, like within seconds,
You got the
money
cash.
came up. My money came up. Boom! Like I was like, oh shit, where did this money come from? And I went like, oh wow. And so I went and grabbed a portion of it, gave it to him.
Yeah.
But the craziest thing is the blessings that come afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because you see those people in the United States all the time standing at street corners with signs. And I always keep a bunch of cash in my console in my car. But I also keep gift cards, and in the winter I have socks, granola bars, and water bottles in Ziploc bags that I always keep 5 or 6. And I constantly hand stuff like that out, or if you see them. And I've had people say, well, they're probably just going to go buy drugs. And I'm like, you know what?
So be it.
I don't care. It's not my place to judge. It doesn't say God on my forehead. That could be Jesus, and that is Jesus because he made us all in his image. And I trust that whatever I do is what I'm supposed to do. I don't control their actions. I only control mine. But I love what you said because you're right. When you give, you get so much more back.
You don't know what you're getting back. That's the thing. That's
right.
the interesting for me is that when I give, and I don't expect to receive anything back, by the way. I just want to help somebody. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, how can I help this person, right? Like many people have helped me before, okay?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have helped me in the past one way or another. And it might not have been with money, but it might have been with wisdom or with love, whatever. And I remember this one time, this is like 2 years ago, when I first started going back to Venezuela, because I quit going there for like 10 years. I put one of my main guys, I took him for a ride. We went to lunch or something. Yeah, we went to lunch. That's what it was. And at that time, I had to pay my employees over there. It's still a little bit of an ordeal, but back then was harder. I had to wire money. I had to go to a place there, get a bunch of cash, and then bring the cash to the office, pay them cash. And it's kind of scary to go around Venezuela with $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in cash because you can get jumped.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's your payroll for that month, right? And now you're like, oh my God, if something happens. So we had a lot of hundreds in that one bag. And Carlos, he's no longer with me, but he's my cousin actually. He was driving, and we got to this one traffic light, like in a very congested like intersection. It was like 2 big main roads that meet together. There's this man, no legs, on a wheelchair and he had a hernia. I mean, it was huge in his stomach. And this man hasn't showered in days, and he's probably in his 70s. He might be younger, but because of the life they live, they age a lot.
Yeah.
He had a little, sign saying something that need money for my family or whatnot. And I tell Carlos, have you ever given money to a person like this? And he's like, yeah, sometimes. And I say, how much? Well, I give them whatever leftovers I got, coins, no more than, I don't know, $5 or whatnot. And I said, do me a favor, pull out 100.
Yep.
And he looked at me like, 100? So yeah, pull out 100. He pulled out 100 and said, what do? I give it to him.
Yep.
And he was like, he didn't understand what we were doing, right? So he gave him 100. The old man looked at that bill, and I don't think that man had ever seen $100 in his life. Remember, in Venezuela, the salary is $2 a month.
Yeah.
And I said, God bless you. I hope you use it right, and blah, blah, blah. And then the lights turned green, and we had to leave. And then I asked him, I said, Carlos, how do you feel about this? He said, I have no words. It's a weird feeling because, number one, never in my life I would have thought of giving somebody $100 that I don't know, much less, I don't even know if I'm ever going to see that person again. And I was like, that's how you tied.
Yep.
I said, that's how you tied. You tie like that, trust me, the universe will bless you with a bunch of things. So,
I always think it's so cool to see if you can outgive God. And you're not going to be able to, but it's a great, it's great to wake up every morning and say, okay, God, I love you. And I know you love me. I'm going to try to outgive you today. And I know he's up there laughing, but it's a great feeling to just think, I'm going to do everything I can to try to act like he wants me to.
What do you think of these people? And this is probably the last question because I know you're running on time. What do you think of these people that go out there, they tied, but they actually film it and post it?
Oh, I don't judge them because that's not my place to judge them.
Right.
I think sometimes we judge people like that and say, oh, they're just doing it for publicity. Well, the reality is maybe they are. Maybe they're doing it for benefit themselves, but maybe if they can incentivize one person to give, then it's worth it. There is a reason my husband and I do not watch the news anymore.
Of course, I don't either.
We don't watch regular television at all. We're very selective on what goes in our brain, because the reality is, if people are doing it for their purpose, then that's God's way of judging. I'm going to say they're doing it for love, and that's okay too. I don't really even think about stuff like that.
This is something I do on my real estate events. It's called the Go Giver Dinner. And when you get a chance, grab a bunch of your girlfriends and do this. We basically, when we do our real estate events, we have VIPs and speakers and sponsors, and that dinner is only for VIP speakers and sponsors. Each one of them have to pay for their meal.
Yeah. And
they have to bring $100 cash. And we select a mom and pop's restaurant. It cannot be some chain. It doesn't matter if it's fancy. Fancy's okay. But it has to be a mom and pop's. It's got to be an owner operator kind of deal, right? And we've been doing this now for close to 4 years. On the last one we did, we gave away $10,600 in tips to the staff.
Yeah. My husband and I have a philosophy that when we go out to eat, it's our responsibility to buy another person's meal and at least tip what our bill is.
Wow.
But some restaurants in today's world, that even if they're mom and pop shops, we always give cash to the server. because sometimes we tip because it goes in a pool, but we still give cash. It's just a great way and I love what you're doing. I think that's so important because you're teaching people how to do that when they're not with you. And the feeling that you get is amazing.
And I haven't filmed one of them. That's why, for many years I've been tithing and doing tips like that. And every time somebody was going to record it, I was like, no, I don't want that to go on anywhere because I'm not doing this for publicity. I'm not doing it to attract attention. I'm doing it to incentivize you guys to do the same when you go to your towns, right? Because a lot of those people, they fly into town, and it's an amazing feeling.
But Ricardo, don't discount yourself. Don't discount yourself. You could record that once and just say, I'm not recording this for benefit, but I'm recording this to see the feeling these people get over helping other people. And I challenge everybody watching it to go get that feeling today.
So I think I'm gonna start doing it, and I'm gonna run this idea by you. I want to do it in Venezuela because over there they don't have the same opportunities we have here. That's number one. Number two, I spend half of my time there, so it's easy for me.
Yeah.
But my idea was I'm gonna get one of my friends, Reynaldo, who is almost like my brother. He owns a gas station, and that gas station produces a lot of local cash. Okay. Yeah. And he's always exchanging with me. He gets US dollars, I get the local currency, and that's kind of like we have that relationship.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get him because he counts money. I mean, it's like seeing a drug dealer with like piles of money like that, And every time I go to his gas station, he's counting money, and I wonder. I say, man, what if I get all those bills in a bag? I grab him and put him on my car, and then we go around town and give all that money to strangers. And meaning strangers that need it, right? Like that are living on the streets, that need food, shelter, clothes or whatever. And then one of my guys in the office said, but we need to record that. And that's when I was like, I don't know, because I'm not doing it for publicity. And he's like, no, you got to do it, because he told me the same thing you're saying. You're gonna inspire at least one other person to do the same. And I know what you've done in your events and what you've done with the tithing and all of that stuff, that it inspired a lot of people today. A lot of the people that come to my events, that's what they do when they go back to their cities now.
Yeah.
So in a way, I'm super proud of that.
And you have to quit worrying about, I'm a big believer, God knows what's in your heart. So God knows you're doing it for the right reason. Who really cares what anybody else thinks?
Exactly. No, I've always came from that, but I always didn't want to be that person that was all over the internet because I was just throwing money away, So
God knows what's in your heart. God knows you have a big heart and you want to help people.
I do.
Who cares what anybody on earth thinks? I mean, Dave and I have lived that way all of our lives. We don't really care what people think.
Sandy, I believe you got to show yourself more out there. You got to create your own channel. I love the way you guys operate. You operate from faith. You operate from a big heart. I can tell that you've helped who knows how many people. And your model should be replicated through others. I mean,
well, Ricardo, maybe you and I should start doing a daily or a weekly podcast.
We can do one
on living from the heart or something. I think you and I could do this together.
Absolutely. I'm in. You sign me up, so I have the platform. I got everything I need. So I would love to do this.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had several people say, Sandy, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. I'm like, when God leads me to the right way to do it. And I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with a friend. She said, Sandy, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. And I'm like, when God leads me there, well, then I'm listening to you and you and I are talking about it. Maybe this is God's way of leading me there. I don't know.
You see, and we started with real estate, but look at where we ended, right? And this is probably for those of you that are watching or listening to these guys, real estate is not going to mean anything if you don't come from the right place.
That's exactly right. Doesn't matter what you do. I mean, my husband and I we own 7 companies. The consulting company, yeah, some of them can be intertwined because that's how we are. We're intertwined. It's just life. But a lot of people say, okay, you have a multi-million dollar consulting company with banks and credit unions. Why are you even doing the real estate? Well, we do it because we're here to serve. And serving looks like a lot of different ways. And we have the expertise and the gifts in this way that we believe God wants us to use. Doesn't mean we'll always do that. God will shift us. We just have to be paying attention and listening. Just like you listen to God and you walk in the way He wants you to, it changed. And I'm sure you've seen it change over your life.
Of course. And sometimes when I needed it the most and I gave my last dollar, I've done that.
Yes.
I've done it. The next day something crazy happens and boom. I'm like, wow. So I was introduced to, I've always tithed, I would say, all my life, because I learned from my father to always give 20% when you go to restaurants and things like that, right? But one of my students gave me a book on tithing one time, and I read it. I forgot the name. I got it back there in the in my library. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna start doing this more intentional.
Yeah, intentional tithing is important.
And that's where I just went to another level, you know, and now I just can't live without it. It's like it's almost a necessity. Like it feeds my soul.
Yes. Yeah. I think you probably are like Dave and I, where you wake up in the morning and like, who can I help? And tithing comes monetarily. It comes a lot of different ways. But I think you hit the nail on the head that you can't outgive God. You can't. I tried. You can't. And He'll always make sure that what you give away, you will get an abundance. Now, it may not look like the same thing, but you will get an abundance in some way. I'm a big believer of that. I mean,
you said earlier something that's completely true. We don't, the material things that we have, it's been given to us by God just so we can take care of it. It's not really ours, you know. We're not gonna take it away when we die or anything like that. It's just the vehicle or the tools that we have to help other people out. That's all it is, you know. And anyhow, we can leave this for another conversation. I know you're short on time today. I appreciate you coming in today, Sandy. I really enjoy this podcast. I know we're gonna do many more. How can people get a hold of you?
You know, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. The ABS website, which is one of our companies, which is ABS, abs, like your stomach, dash, not the slash, but the dash, CORE. So abs dash core, both like your stomach. We have nothing to do with your stomach. .com is one of our business websites. You know, every podcast, they always say, well, how can people reach you? Well, the reality is, if you want to reach me, I'll give you my cell phone number and I'll give you my email address. And my cell phone number is 913-731-6007. 913-731-6007. You can text me. You can call me anytime. We do take silent days on Sundays where we don't do electronics, and we don't do electronics or anything on Thursday nights. So if it's Thursday night or Sunday, it'll be the next day. Or you can email me, and it's SMOLL, so Moll at abs-core.com. I have one of our capital company where we do private lending. I have an email there, but I'm actually in the SMOLL at abs-core.com email a lot more. And I enjoy hearing from people. And if there's somebody out there that just needs help, don't hesitate to call. I think Ricardo would probably say the same thing. If you need anything, call me.
I'm an open book. I'm like, I'm straight up, I shoot straight from the hip, and I'm very crystal clear. If you watch my podcast long enough, you will know a lot about me and setbacks and successes that I've had in the past. And I don't hide anything, because I believe that one person with one thing that they get from me, they they can change their life. Like same with you, right? So
Yeah.
those that hold back, I stay away from. You know, I don't.
Yeah.
Not that doesn't mean they're trying to do anything wrong to anybody. It's just that they're not coming from an abundant mentality. So
yeah, I have my kids have given me a lot of pictures because they know I'm a Robin Williams fan, and his quote that says, "No matter what people tell you, words and ideas can change the world." I love that one. And then Steve Jobs has a lot of great quotes, but one of his favorite is, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life."
Man, Robin Williams is so sad the way he went.
Yes.
My favorite movie from him was this movie where he goes back and tries to save his wife that had committed suicide.
Oh, I don't know that one.
What? Oh
What?
my God.
I don't know that one. Find that one. I know.
Yes, I'm gonna find it right now. Robin Williams movie.
ChatGPT will tell us.
And I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I guarantee you if I see it today, I would cry. Where is it? It's probably from 97, 90, something along those lines.
What Dreams May Come?
That one. What Dreams May Come.
I'm telling you, ChatGPT knows everything. I have not seen that movie, but I've heard about it, and I'm going to watch that this week.
You have to watch it. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie with an amazing message. I think it's the best movie he's ever made, to be honest with you. But anyhow, thank you for coming in, Sandy. I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit share, like, and subscribe. If you have any questions, put them on the comments, on the chat. Send us an email, send us a message. If you want to be on the podcast, send me a message as well. If you have done deals and you come from a place of integrity and you come from an abundant mindset, I would love to host you. I would love to have you here, have a great conversation, and we will see you on the next one.
And I will tell you, out of all the real estate podcasts I've listened to, Ricardo's is by far the best. So if you only have to pick one, pick his.
Thank you so much, Sandy. I appreciate you.